Welcome to Inspiring People, the show about inspiring people, those who are inspired and those who inspire others. We all know them. They're good examples, they're supportive, they embrace life, they live inspiring lives in their day-to-day actions, and in turn, inspire others to do the same. Hi, welcome to Inspiring People. My name is Mary OTTO. I'm the host of the show, and with me today for part 2 of her interview is Chris Koosmann. Welcome to the show. When we left off last, if you weren't able to see the first interview, Chris was talking to us about some of her travels, particularly those to Ethiopia. And Chris, if it's okay with you, I think that's where we should pick up this time and talking about some of the experiences you and your family had while living there. So would you go ahead and maybe just talk a little bit again about how you ended up going to that country and what involvement your parents and you had there?
My parents became missionaries in 1960 through the American Lutheran Mission, and there was a brand new mission starting there, and they were really literally advertising for missionaries, and Dad was an agriculturalist and a teacher, so that's what he did, was teaching agriculture. And most of the time I spent in boarding school, but my summers and Christmas vacations, which were a month long, were spent on our mission station far, far north of the capital city of Addis Ababa. This is where the boarding school was. And I had many roommates over the years, but Rahel, it would be translated Rachel, was of the royal family, so we were used to seeing members of the royal family coming to visit her or take her for outings, and so I got to be quite comfortable seeing people coming in the royal entourage, and many other royal people of the royal family did go to our school because of the good curriculum, and but she was a boarding student. So I think, and when the revolution came in 1974, they had to leave Ethiopia, and I think she is now living in the UK, and many of the royal family have been dispersed because of the many wars that have been in Ethiopia. So she was a really nice lady, or she was a girl then, and we had many good times, and she just was a regular student, just like the rest of us. And so we'd never have guessed that she was from the royal family, other than she just occasionally mentioned it to me. And so I was wondering how she was, but other roommates were usually, many of them were from other countries, from Indonesia or the Netherlands or all parts of Africa, and all missionary children from all parts of Africa did come to our school because we had a high school. And so this all ended when I had to leave because of another war in 1968, and we were really nervous about leaving Ethiopia. That was our home. So coming back to the States was quite nerve-wracking. And to adjust, it was quite an adjustment to come to the States. Even though I'm a very loyal American, of course, it was like a culture shock. But I did make it. I did my senior year in 3 different schools. Still, all my credits transferred, and I did graduate from Costa Mesa High School in Estancia, California, in Costa Mesa, California. And so I think and gee, it's almost 40 years, or it is 40 years this summer. I didn't go back to my reunion because I was just transient. But Ethiopia, Good Shepherd School is the one I'd like to go to the reunion, which is 50 years this summer. My father helped build the school, and I was the first person, my brother and I were the first people to go to that school, along with maybe 30 other kids.
Do you know, Chris, if that school is still there?
It was overtaken by the communist Ethiopian government in 1975. So everybody was done in the middle of the day, in the middle of the class. Everybody had to go out now. and find other places to live, they were taken over. And so that school is in existence, but it's Ethiopian government run organizations, different ones, hospital or school, we're not sure. But many people go back that were in Ethiopia when I was there, back as missionaries themselves or just as tourists, and they see the school is still existing.
Still operating. Yeah. Okay. Do you still keep in touch with anybody from there?
I get a newsletter, and so I hear every 2 months or every 3 months about anybody who writes in, and also there's websites, and yeah, I do.
Okay. Are there any particular people from that time in your life when you lived in Ethiopia who you'd like to tell us about a little bit? Anybody who was particularly interesting, or somebody who was near and dear to you when you were over there?
Well, there's Carolyn Kurtz. She had a very, very strong influence in my life because of her strong witness and her sweet personality. And she just is very involved in Ethiopia, and she goes back to Ethiopia through the Presbyterian Mission quite a bit to show their work. Still, the Presbyterian Mission is in Ethiopia. And then Debbie Yoder, who also was a fine witness and good friend to me, and she has worked in Ethiopia. I'd like to hear more from her. She may come to the reunion, and some of the teachers were very, very dedicated, and they came, you know, from their own comfortable Canada or United States or from all over Europe to teach at this school. And they had to live at the school, so they were sometimes babysitting us, as they called it, when the dorm parents wanted a day or two off. They were, Mrs. Grimstead was very influential. She took me under her wing and tried to be like a surrogate mother to me, if I would let her, but usually I was pretty independent.
Tell us a little bit, too, about your father and some of the work that he did there.
My dad was a very, very colorful man. He is just, I always equate him to Indiana Jones. He always had this cowboy hat on, sideways, and boots on, and he always rode a fast horse. And he needed one because he would go into these places that nobody ever went. Well, and he'd work with tribes that were very, very unfriendly, and of course take Mom with him and our baby sister. And sometimes he really did need that fast horse because he would maybe try to speak in their language but have a slight inflection that was wrong, and out come the swords and the knives, and he'd have to have a fast horse. And I think he is very, very brave and a true missionary, because he had no thought for himself, only to spread the word of the Lord through agriculture, because you must do a service to the people whose country you're in and help their hunger, help their health, help their education, and then perhaps do missionary work as a sideline. But mostly he tried to help people alleviate hunger.
Okay, well, this has just been so great having you on the show.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you. Thank you. The time goes so fast, and there's so many things that we could talk about yet. But if people are interested in hearing more about your story, perhaps they could get in touch with you, and
that'd be great.
Then you'd be able to share even more. But I thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. I liked it a lot.
Good.
Mm-hmm.